return with your favorite friendly entertainer, stickity motivator with the vibes that are greater. It's your girl in your Odyssey, also known as Jenny Beat, and our most recent episode, we had our own special hot ones with me, Linda Hot Sauce.
I'm a bitch.
That was a success. We had to test out the next 6 hot sauces. And we have some guests today. We have snowflake and spicy.
I'm a rich. I'm a bitch. I'm the bad bitch. I'm a rich.
And we have Cat and we can play some games and just converse and stuff and things. So I was going to turn off this light. I know that it's starting to get dark, and because it's been like raining and stuff because of the heat, the extreme heat. Alright, let me make sure I can hear y'all. Say that again. Cute Chihuahua. Alright, let me make sure that I'm not sure if they hear you. Oh, what's that? Alright, I think I hear you guys. What was that? I think so. Alright, now I hear you guys.
I don't have to like
on the stream.
Stickity.
We have a customer. He is a new host. His name is Teddy, and he's a Chihuahua.
Teddy the Chihuahua. We have Teddy the Chihuahua. Oh, see my little Teddy?
And we're bringing another guest on. His name is Teddy the Chihuahua, and he's eating a bone. So make sure you reach out and ask him how delicious that bone is.
The bone is probably absolutely delicious.
It's probably not going.
So, hold on. I was gonna see what the stream looked like if I turn off that light.
It's not. What light?
Oh, it is dark. It is dark. All right, I'll turn back on the light. Turn back on the light.
I want the light on. I want the darkness. I want to crawl up in there and be all fantasy.
No, I was going to go in the at the bottom of the chin, going, yeah, it's the story time. Just right. I'd see people do that. Get a torch and shine it upwards underneath their chin, make it bright night.
You understand who I am. That's stiggity because
Yeah.
I was just having a almost panic or anxiety episode. I started yelling. I was like, ah! You know, almost started having a freaking anxiety episode.
Ah!
Everything is fine now. Be sure we take care of bring care to each other. We're bringing care to each other.
Do I need to?
It's been, yes, it has been about 3 years since we've all been together in the same broadcast. Cheers.
Can we turn off my live feed? I can't because I don't know where my mother went. And I'm a little girl and I just need to find my family right now.
Hey, you try my stuff, but
They said, help me. Where is Cena these days?
Are we gonna like call me my family?
Jenny and your Odyssey Cena. You know, that is, you know, that would mean that I'm married. You know, they used to call me John Cena because of my commentary. You know? Because of my commentary. Can you purchase cocaine these days? You know, you could just drink some coffee, you know. You'll be stiggity.
coffee.
What are you wearing? I am wearing, it is a pajama stream. I'm wearing some pajamas with a nice blouse. Pajama bottoms with a nice blouse.
She got pregnant with me, and I'm like getting
I gained a little bit of weight. You know, so I have these dimples. And my mom said if I gained weight, that the dimples would go away. I was like, there's freaking baby fat missing from my cheek back here. And she's like, it'll be all right. She said, just gain some weight and it'll be fine. I gained some weight and I still have it. I'm like, what in the freaking fuck way? You know, I gained weight. What do you want from me? You know? And so we were talking about branding and stuff, and you know, it stresses me out a little bit. You know.
I can't be branded because it hurts. The bunny.
It hurts the bunny.
The bunny.
I just got born. Now I'm Puerto Rican because I came from Jenny's tummy. Would you please put me on the stream now?
He said, and tacos.
I'm just a little
So I was
girl.
having chalupa the other day, and you know, normally you can't recognize, you know. Only you couldn't recognize.
Do I get to get pregnant now?
Long live your
I'll have to
days.
ask my mommy.
I will lie to you, Renee. That wasn't a parrot, I told you. It was a different rat. My stepdad felt sad.
I just
I've
came
been
out
coming
of
for a
tummy
long
now.
time.
Now I need to get born to get pregnant. Yeah, you'll help me.
No, with your presence, a century of silence. Someone throw me out of here.
Somebody help me.
Are there French people?
Yeah.
Would you like some, some French
coffee.
Bye bye.
Because, you know,
I
you can have a French kiss.
I came out of her tummy through coffee.
Will you meet me at the bean tonight? Too early, baby, won't you
I'm a
meet me by
chocolate
the beam? Too early, baby, won't you come and show me things? You know what it is whenever I'm with it. Windy kisses, she blow me kisses. Oh, 30 degrees, way too cold tonight. Will you hold me
I
tonight?
love you. I love you. You love me.
I just got
We're a
I
happy
just came out of her
family
tummy.
with a great big hug and a kiss from me to you.
That's la la. This is that.
You got your sperm.
Shout la la. This is that. I love you. You love me. Don't that. Ronnie's back. This stuff of the electric tree.
My
I'm
conscience
her
is
child,
merciless, by the
and I
way.
came out of her.
Yo,
Yeah,
stay away from making jokes. You ain't funny.
Dang.
She said she had a new child, and I'm it. I came out of her tummy last week because she drank a lot of chocolate, coffee, mushroom sperm.
I had a mushroom baby. I had a mushroom baby.
Mushroom man. Right, there.
I haven't encountered
Does
that
that make
person
me
in a while. I've
beautiful?
been a mod. So it has been about 3 years since we've all been together.
Don't forget about your mushroom, baby.
I'm not gonna forget about my mushroom baby. Can I meet you at the show tonight? What is the lyrics to that song? I need to find out what are the lyrics. What are the lyrics to that song? Is it freestyle Chicago?
Mushroom.
How do you spell Chicago? Chai tea, Chicago. Chicago. Baby shark that do.
I'm keeping on.
Alright, Chicago freestyle lyrics.
Oh my goodness, people are on. People are on global.
People on global probably watching us. Alright. The Chicago freestyle lyrics. It's
How did you get
2:30,
featured?
baby, won't you meet me by the bean? Too early, maybe later you can show me things. You know what it is whenever I visit Windy City. She blow me kisses, no. 30 degrees, way too cold, so hold me tight. Will I see you at the show tonight? Will I see you at... okay. It'll be... 2:30, baby, won't you meet me by the bean? Too early, maybe later you can show me things. You know what it is whenever I visit Windy kisses, she blow her Windy City, she blowing me kisses, no. 30 degrees, way too cold, so hold me tight. Will I see you at the show tonight? Will I see you at the show tonight? Hey, truck to the plane, to the plane, to the truck. Truck to the hotel lobby. Me, I go through underground garages. President's suite on deposit, elevator up to the room. Shower up, then when you hit the club, touchdown, gotta see what's up. Area code in my phone. What numbers do I still have? Who do I know from the past? Hit one, she says she got me a man. Hit another, hit one, says she got a man. Hit one, goes green. Must change phones on the team. Remember when you let me in between? That was 2017. 2:30, baby, won't you meet me by the beam? It's my favorite part. 2:30, baby, won't you meet me by the beam? Too early, maybe later, you can show me things. You know what it is whenever I visit. Radio City, she blowing me kisses. No. 30 degrees, way too cold, so hold me tight. Will I see you at the show tonight? Will I see you at the show tonight? Stiggity, stiggity.
Wow, chicka wow wow.
Wow, chicka, wow, wow. Wow, chicka, wow, wow.
How now, brown cow?
How now, brown cow?
I'm just
I didn't know I was a brown cow.
the moon again.
You are a
I
woman
didn't
who
know
has
I
been
was a
raised in
brown
the past.
cow.
Did I ask for special media? If not, don't talk it. 2:30, baby, won't you meet me by the beam? Too early, maybe there you can show me things. You know what it is whenever I visit Windy City, throw me kisses. Oh. 30 degrees, way too cold to hold me tight. Will I see you at the show tonight? Do all of you have coffee? Oh,
I got coffee mushroom.
Mine's gone.
I've still got my
I'm
mushroom
scared
coffee
I'll be
with 10
disgusted.
mushrooms.
You're scared you'll be disgusted. Oh, you're scared that I will discuss things. You know, things that are not necessarily on our agenda to be talking about, you know.
We've all been disgusted.
Yeah, they're freaking disgusted by, you know, somebody has jokes out here. Somebody has jokes. Somebody put skulls in the chat. I was like, I'm not gonna sit over here and false represent. I will tell you straight up and down, like a ruler, that you know, I'm not too keen with the jokes. You know, I'm not too keen with the jokes. You know, we have our own jokes that don't, you know, don't it's not freaking, what is it? Yeah. It's not that. Whatever that is, you know, that could go fly off on its own. You know? Fucking so I'm over here, I'm so sweet I can kill a diabetic, you know? That's how I am. That's how I roll. You know, Windy City, I'm blowing you kisses. Oh.
He's good. Oh yeah.
It's because, you know, the difference between I don't know necessarily what the difference between, you know, this and Puerto Rican is, other than Puerto Rican, you know, we're Commonwealth. We don't need a passport to, you know, to travel to the city, the cities in Puerto Rico. You know, if you're American, all you need is an ID, a valid ID, and you can travel to Puerto Rico. You know, any of those Hispanic states, you need a freaking passport. You know, and you know, so whenever you try to make something that is not Puerto Rican, you try to make something that's not Puerto Rican a Puerto Rican joke, it's just not funny. You know? It's like, oh, are you trying to brand on me isn't that false claiming? Oh, it's a dark debate is what it is. It is a dark debate. Yeah, you could be casual and you could, you know, that shit should fly for the birds. You know what I'm saying? That shit should fly for the birds. That shit don't need to, that don't need the jokes, that don't need to apply to me. You know? I was talking about it. I was like, my karaoke's coming at you to your face. And I can't wait until that becomes a thing, you know? Because somebody already tried with me. I was like, look, you keep your you know, your little jokes to yourself. Just because you might be a bigger state than me, you know, that don't mean that I have bigger jokes, you know? And so then it becomes a debate between inside the realms of who you are and where you would rather claim. I would rather claim the right. Honestly, I'm more right than I am left, and that, you know, maybe I'm only left, you know, on a Tuesday because somebody else over here has some jokes that I don't necessarily fly by, you know? So throw the freaking skull emoji in the chat because I don't necessarily fly by those jokes. I don't fly by anything that is that, you know? So don't sit over here and false claim or false represent because, you know, me and my glossy lips, I'm sitting over here laughing, you know? While you crying, I'm laughing. Like, what the freaking Fuquay, you know? And excuse me, you know, because I do believe in respect, and I believe that you don't give yourself a joke or you don't laugh at yourself unless, you know, there's something to laugh at. If there's some reason that you want to laugh, there's some reason you want to touch my face. My brother, whenever I was growing up, my brother always used to tell me, "Don't touch my face. Don't let anybody touch your face." And whenever you feel as though your face is touched, that's whenever you speak out. You know? You trying to line me up? Well, you know, the line is over there in fucking Hamas. You know what I'm saying? Because what? Somebody touched my face and they crossed the line. And you know what I'm saying? It could be the same thing over from America to non-America. You know, we're over here struggling with immigration and all that stuff. Nah, nigga, if you have a bad joke, that shit's gonna play outside before it plays inside. You know? You have a bad joke, you touch someone's face that you ain't supposed to touch. Yeah, we are gonna show the fuck out before we talk about this shit. Because you know, if you talk about it and then it plays out, it's a little bit different, you know? I feel like Whoopi Goldberg over here. Those clappers are absolutely a vibe. Thank you.
Whoopi Goldberg.
They said they signed up for this at 5 a.m. Air break, yeah. Indian, yeah. You know, you want me to claim you want me to claim Hispanic, you know, I don't peep the language, though whenever I feel as though the language is trying to peep me, I'm like, all right, I sit back and I'm like, what is this, you know?
What is this really?
I mean, if you've never been talked to by a government, or if you don't know how governments talk, you know, because not necessarily they normally talk to you in your sleep. You know, that's why everyone always says good night, because did you know that in your sleep, you eat you eat about 8 spiders. Spiders crawl in your mouth, you eat about 8 spiders a year. You know that in that time, they could be shoving, they could be shoving fucking tubes down your throat.
Oh yeah? The only thing that goes down my throat isn't a spider, that's for sure.
I would take
That's
meat
either
and
pussy
show my
or
dandy.
cock.
Iraq, your name is
And
Prestige.
I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
because, alright, so why do you think they called it a botched withdrawal? They withdraw because, at night, they probably trying to plastic surgery your face. You know what I mean? And even whenever you have a narrow face, I've always had my cheeks. You know what I'm saying? You don't always, my face never always moved every time I talk, and every time I reposition, my mouth. And that's not Arabic. That is not Arabic because in Arabic, they cover their faces and their faces are not touched. Their faces are pristine. Maybe you could notice the contour, and that's all right. If I'm not over here making lines on your face. I'm always talking about you only. Rain off camera. Happy that shit is off camera. Honestly, that shit gave me more reason to stream. Got the hot librarian look while smacking knowledge on people. I'm for real though. I'm for real because, Eagle Beats knows that, years ago, my face didn't have, and things and stuff and such. It doesn't matter what you do, whenever that whether you've done drugs, whether you smoke cigarettes, whether you drink alcohol, that shit is, that's just, normal. If you look at other countries, you would realize that the plastic surgery has definitely been militarized. You can look at an average citizen and realize, oh, they have filler in their face. And, and with the Chinese culture, especially, you could definitely tell that they're older people, their face is touched. And, and it's probably touched while they're sleeping, and they probably gradually fill their face, because Asian people, I think that's natural in the Asian culture. If you look at Bubba the Love Sponge, Bubba the Love Sponge, he has a plastic surgeon in his group for a reason, because, that has been militarized. Plastic surgery has been militarized.
I would only need plastic surgery if I wanted to have sexier man pecs or
He said this is the best thing for every girl, Instagram. And if my karaoke's coming at you to your face, then, it shouldn't be a joke for me. It shouldn't. I should have all the good work. You know what I'm saying? Not the, oh, you need to be worked on. I should, because that's where the bad joke comes in. Oh, you need to be worked on. You need a little bit of work. And who the fuck is, who the fuck do you think is running around here with the bad jokes? And then why do you think all these young kids running around with like morbid baby jokes? Because if it's not hitting for the young community, it's not hitting for me, especially because I have I have my own thing I'm doing. Why am I going to worry about skulls in the chat? Why am I going to worry about somebody that barely has the intelligence to hold a fucking serious conversation? Oh, it's cute though. It's cute though. Yeah, like that ever matter? Did that ever matter whenever you were speaking about your state or your country? No. whenever they hold State of the Union, they're not worried about how cute those people are looking. They're worried about what those people have to say. And if you have to say something that you're crying, why are you crying? Don't make me fucking backhand you to give you something to fucking cry about.
Well, I know what I could backhand, but I don't know if they would scream.
Snowflake's over there talking about backhanding some booty.
I'm just trying to make them scream and squirt, but Spicy takes over that job.
Right.
I said rain, nothing. For real.
I mean, basically, you're the one who's looking at to have me. You got to have me as a bodyguard.
You're gonna you're definitely, it's definitely showing, because most of the times females, they stand for each other. Sometimes females is a cat fight. You know what I'm saying? Mohammed said it well with the cat in the box, because sometimes it's just a cat fight. And why do cat fights happen? Because there's two people that don't that disagree on something very simple.
Yeah, they disagree with me, all right.
Why do you think Hamas would happen? What if the state of Israel was more invested in my looks than the state of Mexico? So they're like, oh, so you don't care about your people? We'll fucking bomb you. Oh, we'll bomb you without bombing you. We'll be passive aggressive about it. You touched our girl's face. Now we are going to cross lines. You ever think about that? That I just think about things that could be a possibility.
What happens?
Just thinking about things that could be a possibility. Oh, somebody thinks it's cute to touch faces. Well, that's crossing the line, because, maybe the state of Israel and the state of the Emirates of Arabs, maybe they're like, oh, that's my girl. Why are you going to touch her face? You know what I'm saying? We're going to allow, war to pop off because something small,
I mean, we already have a war right now, because people want to sleep with Snowflake, and Snowflake gets people pretty angry. I mean, what's this country coming to? I mean, can't they just sleep with a straight guy? I mean, if you think about it.
This was a long time ago in the broadcast, and we have the
something
sister names.
And people are beautiful, and we should cherish them. I should just become maybe I should just become bisexual, because I'm having so many problems right now.
With the state of gayhood?
Maybe I should just start giving women. Maybe I should just start giving men and women what they want.
That's definitely, Spicy said, wow, that's definitely something, that would probably be fought over, because if you give one person something that they want, then you don't give everybody else something that they want, then it's going to be a fight. You know what I mean? That's like bringing only one toy whenever there are a bunch of kids. It's like, hey, you give the toy to one kid, and they're like, hold on, we want freaking toys.
I don't even know what a toy. Am I a toy?
No, it's not. Basically, I don't think you're more like Elvis. Every girl wants you. We're chasing after you.
I think if I gave out my toy to everybody, I think everybody would be pregnant, and I think I would probably get sued by the government.
Well, you missed the popular last one was.
You know, what's something if you call your crush, or if you call someone that you love a brother, you know, sometimes they look at you different. You know, so I was telling Spicy, or Spicy or Snowflake a little bit earlier. I was like, I'll mention this because I started spending holidays with someone, and you know, to me that was someone special, and maybe, you know, me calling them brother, calling them dude whenever I was, you know, mad and I was drunk texting, you know, maybe that was a, you know, compulsive action of mine that led to that person thinking that they weren't as special. When in fact, you know, they were very special to me. You know, we were spending holidays together and stuff. And sometimes you have that friend that you spend holidays with, and sometimes, you know, you might look at that friend as more than a friend, you know?
Yeah.
It looks like she curses
Consider them
a
a
minute.
lover.
Well, but basically, friendship is the beginning of a relationship, because basically you have a relationship with just having friends anyway. You know, it's not a full blown. It's a beginning. Feels like rushing to things sometimes.
Sometimes people just want to put you in the friend zone, and then all of a sudden you're no longer.
Yeah.
And you're like,
and it,
what
you know,
happened
it might
there?
have
I thought
been,
we were just friends.
it might have been my fault for, you know, initially rushing into things, because, you know, I normally have it, you know, what is it? Take it slow with people.
Yeah, well, that's what's fun at the early days with my current relationship. It was a bit like, you know, all excited, we were like kids, and that's why it's related to on the rocks part of our relationship sometimes. But we're working through it, you know. Sometimes we have disagreements, and that's what I say. You just become careful in sometimes in relationships. You can rush things through, but you can both be blaming each other. It's no one's fault. It's you. So
yeah, I mean, you don't want you never, you know, you don't ever want to get to the point of blaming each other. Though sometimes there's a third party that, you know, that would give you, you know, reasons to fuss, you know. I mean, for the time that you've known me, have I ever complained of, you know, my face being touched, for instance?
Not as I know of, because no one's done that.
You know?
You are the same. And then, as I say, I've only seen you have an instance about one event that that was a long time ago. You know, that's ancient history.
Right.
With somebody else that, you know, actually was staying because I was there, and that's say it got heated. You dropped your phone, and it broadcast ended because of that event, and obviously it was one with two other people. You know?
Right.
A younger girl, she thinks she was all it, and the guy who was staying with him is trying to creep around you. He had a girlfriend who was a lot younger than him. Because this younger girl, younger than him, saying that what's been done this much, this done now, you kind of think.
And the thing is, you know, whether or not people are younger than me, I still have a young look. So to try to, you know, change that,
so arrogant.
you know, that is very arrogant, and that would, you know, you can kind of realize how that would start fights. You know?
Exactly. You know, that's what I'm saying.
And some people were all up in arms because, you know, I don't speak Spanish, and and they're wanting, they're of course wanting me to claim the Spanish community and things and stuff and such. How do I know that it wasn't, it's back near my jaw, and Kanye had a verse about it. I could feel it in the inside of my mouth with my tongue. It feels like a hunk of fat was taken out of my cheek on both sides. And so whenever I look at myself in the mirror, it causes a little indentation, and that's something that one of my friends was telling me to look out for. He was like, look out for the indentions and stuff, because I've never had that. Whether or not I've smoked cigarettes, whether or not I've done drugs, whether or not I've drank alcohol, whether or not I've talked crazy, I don't think it's up to somebody that's younger than me to try to delegate who I am or what I look like.
Yeah, or what you do.
Or what I do,
Yeah. It's like my sister. I mean, she's done some stuff, but she's younger than me, and she looks a lot older for the stuff she did. She's aged because it's taken drained life out of her.
And I think, that, that might be militarized. I feel like, and if you're online and you're on social media, social media has so much become militarized. And Snowflake was talking about the presidency. The presidency is a union. They haven't even necessarily militarized the presidency. They've more militarized social media. And from my point of view, I'm not saying that the presidency doesn't work with the union of militarized notions and militarized actions.
Yeah, well, as I say, it's been used as a weapon to a degree. I mean, it's like,
and then you have to think. Then you have to think that other people militarize things, and that's their stance. They militarize things, and that's their stance. And that doesn't mean you can't be false claiming over here, or claiming that I'm one of you. If or that just because somebody else speaks Spanish and that's a part of their delegation and that's what they claim, they can't come over here and say or do to touch me, because that is that's against their regime. That's causing problems within the same delegation. It's causing problems for people within Spanish delegations, and sometimes people that the Indians and the Arabs sometimes don't want to claim the Spanish delegation because of that right there. They cross lines and they do things out of camaraderie to some to an entity that only they look at that way. Only they look at skulls, or only they look at babies a certain way. And how are you gonna force something down my throat that I barely that I barely have gave respect to or gave attention to
Yeah.
That's like somebody that's like somebody that is British that is speaking for you, and you don't believe in whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
No,
It's like there's actually something she says. It was actually talking about his ex-religion. He decided he doesn't believe in this religion. This is all what's happening all over in Europe, and there's a lot of patriots standing up there. There's lots of mass immigration in various patriots of those various countries, like the English patriots, people who lived and born there, actually stand up. The Polish patriots also fighting for their country.
And
French
no,
patriots fighting for their
I completely
country.
understand. That's something that I should be standing up for. Though if they're gonna force something down my throat and then expect me to stand for them, that's a double negative.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. The say is just that some of these countries are being brought in these illegal, undocumented men into certain countries because the government lets them in. And this has got to change. Why I like to see people fighting for their rights either as an American or a British person or Polish, whatever country you represent, and you just fight to be a country. Because you can't have these really undocumented humans coming into our protected countries and not working. They get a free pass based on the taxpayer paying for them to put up rather than working and disrupting the system.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And that's why, and I made a Facebook post. I was like, I spoke fluent Spanish in my mom's womb. And as a matter of fact, until I was 5 years old, I spoke fluent Spanish until my mom brought me to a speech therapist, and they said only speak one language to me.
Yeah. Well, now when I learned from certain things on the news that Donald Trump started bringing in a new law making that the American people only speak, because originally America never had an official language until Donald Trump put in place that sanction, whether you want to put it, because he signed the document that says that the American language is now only the actual national language for America is now English only. Even though people still learning Spanish in America, but that's what I'm saying. You go to school in America, you always learn Spanish. In England, we learn French as a second language.
I have no problem with
that. I want like me. I want my learn to speak her language, and that's Filipino, which is called Tagalog. And I'm finding it difficult to speak that, to say. And people actually one thing I do believe is protecting languages around the world, because a lot of the time lots of languages are being lost. They're becoming extinct. So I would say you try and practice your partner's language if you want to keep it alive, like preserving the language so we don't lose the language. Because that's like, I remember one of our friends, one who used to hang around with Karina. She says, because she's got a lot of people speaking English, she's basically losing her Spanish because of the fact that the vast majority of them are speaking, English more, and it's, and I think she enjoys keeping her language alive, and that's what we do. We want people to lose their native tongue, it's important to some people.
Of course, and and I'll give you that it's important to keep your first language, and you have to realize that sometimes the government has ways of speaking to you, right? And sometimes for instance, Saudi Arabia. I was living in New York whenever I was 10, and that's when 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
How could you not think that was maybe, the Saudi Arabians talking, And of course it was in a way that made history, and sometimes you can talk to people. You can talk to people in ways where you can place someone in their, in their frame of view, and you can, communicate. You can have communication. How do you know that, that that was, if it's not detrimental to you in like as an individual, though it might be detrimental to to a state or to a country, sometimes holding a certain stance might be detrimental to your country and not detrimental to you.
Yeah. I watch a lot of news, but I find it in my country nowadays. They're trying to train people, new staff, to be more diverse. There's diversity training now in the UK because of what's happening up here. And also, our Union Jack is sometimes being censored in schools. Whereas we can't say the Union Jack, which is our native slang, in certain schools. Because it was actually, when people were trying to, one girl who got sent home because she was wearing the Union Jack dress that Jerry Halliwell wore. So
and we had mentioned this, Snowflake had mentioned this, Texas being one of the last states to join the Union whenever we were having a civil war. And sometimes, a civil war, I would mention that to be within your delegation,
Mm-hmm. I say it's like, our country ruled by the current government, the Labour government. Basically, it's like we're having problems with our Labour leader, our Prime Minister, who's doing a lot of wrong things. He's made a mandate, he promised certain things that taxes won't go higher and all that. And he's letting all, he's letting all these undocumented people in, putting them in the hotels, and it's costing the taxpayers. And the people in the UK are saying enough is enough.
But think about that. Think about that in a way in which, all right. So these undocumented people, whether they're hackers or whatever, online. Let's think about it online. There's a bunch of undocumented people that are within, put into a hotel. Sometimes online they call certain channels, like they use certain channels as like hotels, as like, middle grounds, kind of, sort of, and so, they have, these people that are not, they're not paying taxes, they're not paying diamonds, they're not paying subscriptions, yet they're utilizing a channel, and they're not making that channel better. They're not enhancing that channel. They're just there. And so a way for America to speak, that's kind of a way to America to speak, to allow them to, to have these channels, and so you have to recognize the separation between, something, sometimes, that saying nothing is something, and one for all for one.
It's ridiculous. They're coming all over him. And one of our other MPs who was against him, Nigel Farage, who was against Starmer, is making UK reform for change. So actually, Labour's getting scared because Labour's been destroyed from within through their own leader, the Prime Minister, because he's basically letting things happen, and he's trying to censor the whole of the UK, and it's a massive betrayal. And basically, Starmer is not representing what his party is representing, and that's the working class. Labour was all about the working man part. That's what he's done. He's basically betrayed them. He's not, thinking about them. It's not fair on any news, and this is why he's losing his approval ratings.
And that's what it's supposed to be. That's what I was saying. You can't give one child a toy, and there's a bunch of children. If it's a bunch of children's birthdays, you can't give just one child a birthday present and not give the other kids presents, because the other kids are going to be up in arms, and acting out.
Well, he's basically sometimes he's even attacked Trump he didn't want Trump to come over to the UK, and there was a Rishi Sunak, which is the mayor of London. He didn't like Trump, so they're paying for it now because they're actually and Nigel Farage is basically Trump's best friend. This is the thing. So even Trump's not happy about what he's doing to what Starmer's doing to his own country.
Right.
And it's just he wants.
And you have to, it has to be fair. If you're gonna give one person success, then you need to make sure that your other people are having success. And if it's turned on its head, then then there are going to be problems, of course. Because you don't have to necessarily be employed to have success nowadays. With the internet, and all that stuff and things. You have to start gauging things differently.
But I like Trump to believe, but I won't say he's got the same. But I don't know how Nigel Farage is going to do when he gets in office. But I have high hopes for him. To be smart, accountability. And I think nowadays, as times are changing, there's a shift. As things happen, that's the time to change. And he was seeing the truth. Apparently, a lot of government secrets around the world are coming out, and things people don't know about. And it's like, and that's why there's shifting change. It's like, it's a bit uncomfortable, but it's happening. People are waking up, to the truth. And that's why a lot of people are saying, even farmers are fighting for their rights as well. So it's like,
where brides have to block where brides' cousins have to block the groom's path to the stage to get money. If that person is generous, he might give more than 50K. I mean, that's a way to that's a way to look at things. If the government is supporting their people, and they're not supporting a certain person that would be within their delegation technically, and yet they'd rather stay unarmed because this person might talk about drama, or this person might be popular to their own demand. You would have to you still have to create a way that person can make have success and experience success.
And we'll,
especially if their job is to create success for their people that are Hispanic or of Hispanic background. If they're creating success for all of their Hispanics, and they're leaving one out, this is, what is it, that one child, child left behind.
Yeah, it's like I say, the government is meant to work for the people, and some of these governments, like nowadays, at the moment, they're not really working for the people, but they're portraying the people. We put them off to work for us. The same with the police force. They work. Some police actually over exercising their right to do certain things, and they're not working for the people. They're coming what called CEOs. Instead, they're not meant to be CEOs. They're meant to be civil servants in a way. They're meant to work for the people, not for tell the people what to do. And then arresting them for posting a bad message on Facebook or whatever. Any social media saying, "Oh, you can't."
And and then they're gonna be mad because people, English people or Americans, are supporting these individuals, and yet they're not having positive communication with their own people, yet they're being up in arms against their own people, and that's a civil war. That's kind of a civil war in its own, right?
Yeah. Basically, you can't go just because somebody's trying to stick up for say the thing about what's right and what's wrong. You can't stop the good people from speaking their rights. and because you better say that's what freedom of speech is all about. And you can't say I'm going to censor this because I don't like what you're saying. You know, it's the problem. You know, that's why I've heard. I say some people in England, I've heard some where they say they don't like Islam because of what you're doing, and they get arrested for saying that sort of stuff. You know, it's like you can't say have an opinion anymore half of the time. You know, it gives them excuse. It's like when apparently there's a law in the UK. I don't want to stand forever saying when you say to me speak English, it's classed as an offence. It's a criminal offence to actually saying to me speak English in England. You know, and that's not right. It's like these censoring people. That shouldn't be. You know, you shouldn't be doing that to people. Arresting somebody saying you speak it. If somebody doesn't understand you, you know.
Yeah, if somebody, you know, there was a headline that they were, you know, deporting somebody that didn't speak, that was a mute. They didn't, you know, so, and a deaf mute, so they couldn't hear and they couldn't, you know, speak, and they were deporting that person, and it was on the news because. You know, because it was, let me see if I can.
Yeah, it was saying. Yeah, because basically when you come to any country, try and speak their language, try and speak the native tongue of that language. You can't. You know, but it's like saying,
and you know, you can't demonize that person for not speaking the language.
Exactly. You can always say to them, at least learn to speak language. You don't demonize and say you can't speak English. Well, I'm going to start people saying, "Oh, don't come to our country if you don't speak English." I can't even understand any of the languages myself. I only get bits and bobs of different languages, you know. But I'm very rusty with my languages. I'm just like, I know this, I know that, I know what that means. It's like I've got bits of different languages. I don't know. I'm like the 5-6 people, and people that I use the term.
And you know, for you know, if you don't speak the language and the language is forced down your throat, you know, does that make you more successful or does that make you less successful in the long run? You know, the language was spoken for, you know, a little girl, you know, speaks the language, you know, and she speaks the language in American, you know, she speaks the American version, you know, and that because you know she doesn't speak Spanish, so she speaks English, and so that comes out as American, and you know, so she speaks language, and now they're gonna be, oh well, you know, they didn't do the same thing for the people that, you know, that were supported by people that, you know, speak Spanish. Oh well, you were supporting the person that speaks Spanish, yet you stood against your own people. You made you know, a mark against your own people. So, you know, in that range, why would Americans speak your language? You know?
Exactly. I mean, having a different language or second language or more is a choice. It's not mentioned before.
And you know, there's in school they want to teach kids, you know, how to speak different languages. You know, there's more kids now that are speaking French than Spanish because of that same qualm.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's like me. I would say to people have a choice. That's why I think the app Rose Epic Stone, which is basically, it doesn't concentrate on the translation, it actually concentrates on speaking the language. So it's like, you know. And
you know, the French built the Statue of Liberty. You know, she was holding a book and a torch in her hand.
Well, yeah, I'd say that's why I originally